All right, my loves, day 25. And as I sit here with my channel open, the very first thing I heard was taste the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. And so I could guess as to what this all means, but I'm being guided. No cards. I will be tuned in with my intuition and channeling this message. And so I'm just going to be open. So be patient with me. I may have some pauses. I'll edit if they're very long. So here we go. I'm just going to tune in. All right, Spirit, give me more. We are to eat of the rainbow. And so I'll start with what I know this. I reference this often. I've heard this referenced often in my journey. And I don't want to say fascination, but my interest in holistic healing and eating and medicine. And so I study and I research a bit for myself. I have for, oh man, let's say over 15 years now. And so I heard this phrase very early on in this journey to eat better, which I've adopted for a while, of eating of the rainbow, right? And so as I've let go of meat in my own journey, eating of the rainbow was a reference to eating many different colors to get it is especially important if you're not eating meat and you're not eating certain food groups, to get a vast variety of colorful foods in your diet so that you can sample all of the different nutrition profiles that your body needs. And so that is what came to me first when I heard eat of the rainbow. And so obviously this message is for looking at, observing, making different choices. What are you eating right now? Right? For many of you, you have been feeling the nudge to change up your diet. Maybe certain foods are not agreeing with you anymore. For this first group that I'm tapping into, you eat relatively well, right? You might even brag, or the people around you, excuse me, and I'm going to clear energy through this. So if I burp, clear, just know that I'm clearing energy. So I'll make that disclaimer if this is your first time with me. But back to the message. Maybe even people around you compliment you on how well you eat. For you all, you have been proud of your journey thus far, but right now things are off, right? And you're wondering, excuse me, you're wondering like, what is going on? Like I've been eating this. I've been eating this way. It's been working. Something is calling you to eat different. You're having reactions, or the foods aren't agreeing with you, or your body is doing something different that is not necessarily favorable of the experience that you want to have. And so for you all, your body requirement is changing because your frequency is changing. whatever you have just stepped into, I will say within your life, purpose wise, emotions wise, spiritual wise, mental, whatever you are doing on all of the levels, mental, physical, emotional, on any of those levels is requiring something different from you. And what you have been doing up to this point has worked because you were essentially a different person. And because you are either clearing some emotions, some old traumas, maybe what you're doing now is physically more demanding or less demanding, or whatever has switched in your life, or whatever you are getting called into, which what is coming up, your body is preparing you. So you're either being prepared or you've already made the switch, but what you're eating does not align with this new switch. So whichever resonates for you, make the switches, right? Even if it is perceived healthy, whatever the frequency of this food is that you've been eating. And you may need to, what's coming to me right now is monomilling, right? And for those of you who are unfamiliar with monomilling, it's just eating one food per meal, right? So maybe you eat a whole lunch of berries or a whole lunch of melon, but you're eating one specific food. And you're almost needing to assess how that food is agreeing with you right now. And if your body, do you feel, right? A lot of times, I'll say in my culture of the melanated being that I am, we say, oh, excuse me. Mm. Um, I have the itis, right? So eating soul food, a lot of times they're eating a real heavy meal, right? Getting really tired after eating, right? Which is not, it's not the positive. I'm not going to say it's not the positive. It's not what we want to subscribe to, right? It's not the thing that we should expect to happen, right? When we eat the food, it should give us fuel. It is our fuel, right? And what does fuel do, right? It gives you more energy. When you put fuel in your car, you can go further, right? And so our food should do the same for our bodies, for our temples, right? If that food is causing you to stagnate, to stop, to go to sleep, the food is too dense. It is unaligned. The food should give you more energy. Now, I preface this for those who are making a very, I don't want to say drastic, but maybe it is drastic. Like maybe I'm very much, I have been, and which this is the thing that I'm working on, but I'm very much a drastic person. When I say drastic, I mean I don't care to dip my toe in. I just like to jump in, right? And so I've done that quite a bit in my life. So maybe you're the type that was eating a specific way and you jump straight over into a mono meal or into vegan or vegetarian only, or what, you're jumping straight into something. And so for those people who are making switches in such a way, there's going to be a period, right? And this depends on how much of a toxic load your body is carrying, right? The more of a toxic load your body is carrying, the bigger the jump you make, the bigger gap of a I'll call it a crash out that you may experience, right? And this is a detox effect where you may feel worse. You may want to stop, or you may it's almost like a mini crisis mode that you're putting yourself in because your body is releasing so much. And so I say to you, do what you choose because you are very much free to do so. Listen to your body. That's what I'll say. maybe you cut back, maybe you add, like if you're going straight into melon, you add, um, this is so detailed. So I'm judging it right now and I shouldn't. So I'm just going to continue on. But for somebody needs this detail of nutrition. So I'm going to keep going. But maybe you jump straight into consuming melons, or you jump straight into a vegan or vegetarian style. And I'm just using this because I'm familiar with it. And so apply this how you need to for whatever changes you're making. So for example, when I stopped eating meat and I would do detoxes by like day 3-ish, I'm not feeling so well, right? And it's many different symptoms that I'm feeling or that I was feeling. If I ate like a potato in that, um, it would it would it would help balance me back out, right? And so think about food in that way, right? And I feel like I'm journeying here, but so when I talk about potatoes, right? And I talk about food, so potato is a root vegetable. So think of our foods in if we think about our foods in perspective of frequency, potatoes, right, are root vegetables, grounding, right? So all of our root vegetables are going to ground us. Carrots, parsnips, sweet potato, the yam, the any root vegetable. We think of our melons are mostly water. So these are going to be hydrating. Our berries have so many deep colors, right? The blackberries, the blueberries, and the deeper and darker the color, the more antioxidants are there, right? So those are going to sweep up our free radicals. So all of the toxins, the air pollutants, and the different things that we take into our body that has these toxins and free radicals floating around, our antioxidants will come in and neutralize them, right? So those are our berries. So whatever we're doing, right, our watery is going to put us more in our head, right, in the etheric, and our root vegetables will ground us. So if you find yourself more heady and confused, and maybe you throw a potato in there to ground your food, to ground your body, and continue with your monomeal or your berries or your vegetarian or your vegan or your pescatarian or whatever it is that you're switching to. Continue, but just kind of balance out those side effects, and you're going to take it a bit slower, right? But you're going to continue on. That doesn't mean stop it and go back to the other version of what you were doing before. Okay. Goodness. I'm feeling a lot of phlegm. And where this is the lungs. So for this group, teas, respiratory teas, clearing breathing issues, asthma, uh, um, any type of lung ailments, your Mullein teas, your echinacea, and I'm just channeling y'all. I'm not a herbalist, so y'all can fact check this. I'm just literally stating what's coming to me. Um, Respiratory blends, peppermint essential oil, eucalyptus essential oil, cooling. Um, oh, I can see it in my mind. What am I trying to? I'm trying to say. I'm thinking of something. The cooling humidifier. Lord have mercy. Okay, humidifier. A cooling, specifically a cooling humidifier. Um, so creating an environment to bring up. There is mucus in the lung. There is toxins, mucus in the lung space. There's a call to detoxify the lungs. So some of the things that I just named are going to be helpful, whether you have an essential oil diffuser, put in your cooling um, your cooling essential oils, your peppermint, your eucalyptus, your oregano, thyme. So some of these that open up the airways, right? We think about like the menthol feeling of like when we put the Vicks Vapor Rub, or if you've ever used it or had it used when you were a child. You want to open up your air passageways. Pranayama is coming to me. So breathing, some breathing practices. So whatever your body is calling for you to do, give attention to your body through your foods. These colors, going back, circling back around to the beginning and eating of the rainbow, the colors, the frequency of the foods matter. And now what's coming to me is your chakra system. If you're not familiar with your chakra system, look it up. Um, it's typically associated with different colors. And so if you're feeling emotional, so the emotional body specifically, if emotions are coming up for you that correlate with the different chakra centers, if you think of, I want to say self-diagnosis. So let's say you're feeling unsafe, right? Lack of safety correlates with the root chakra. So maybe you want to eat root foods, and the root chakra is typically red. So your red foods, your root foods, right, are going to nurture and foster your body as you process this safety. But you need to do the healing work for the safety. Are you truly in an unsafe situation? Maybe you are experiencing, right? And if that's the case, get to safety, right? So I don't, I want to say for the 3D, if you're experiencing abuse, if you're experiencing something where get help, right? And then do these practices, right? It does no good to be in an abusive relationship or to be in a place that is unsafe, trying to feed yourself these foods. And so I throw that in there as a caveat. And when I say for those, and I'm just using lack of safety because it's the example that came to me. If you are in a safe place and maybe you are processing feelings of not being safe, maybe when you were a child, or memories and things that have happened to you that are unprocessed that are coming up at this time, this foods that I'm speaking of is how you can support yourself. Right. As you work through, you must do the tangible work, whether you see a counselor, whether you do your own shadow work, whatever you need to do, it is to support the healing work that you're doing. Right. And so apply the rest of the chakra systems in color to the food, right? Root being red, sacral being orange, solar plexus being yellow, heart being green, your higher heart usually being a pink color, your throat being blue, your third eye being indigo, and your crown being typically a white. And, vice versa. If the chakras come to you in a different color, trust it. Trust your own magic. Trust your own intuition. Trust what your body, your guides, your guidance system, your guidance support system, be it internally or even externally, whatever you identify with, follow it. This is merely a blueprint and an example for you to apply the knowledge in the way that you see fit. But all in all, the message is for you to support your body temple at this time, specifically with your foods, and this being how you can utilize the different foods to support your energetic system as you heal. Some of you are healers. There's a message to the healers. What do the healers need to know? Give pause. Okay. Give pause. What else? So this is speaking to those whom assist others. If you're in a healer role, if you are in a service role, if you help others, there's a call for you to look at yourself, to support yourself at this time, to be aware of your energetic system. There's a call to pause. And what's coming to me is there is a reset that needs to happen. If you're being what? If you're having a feeling or a call or a nudge to pause, take the pause. Because what is coming through is that you need to pause to reset your system. What will be coming down the road in order for you to support what is coming in? There is like going to be an influx of people that you will be assisting, that you are called to be to help, to assist. There's going to be a large influx of people who will need the healers. And so for you all, if you are feeling the nudge, if you're feeling burnt out, maybe it's just a feeling, maybe you're depleted, you're compassion fatigue, if you're in a place emotionally where you're struggling to be in the balanced place of helping, and there's some resentment or there's some tiredness or whatever the case may be, you're being asked to pause right now and to go inward and to one, assess this feeling that you have, whether it's guilt or shame or feeling like you're giving more, you're giving so much outward at the expense of depleting yourself. Spirit is asking you to look at this. This is not sustainable. And in the long run, you will actually be supporting less people. So if your mind is caught in any of these traps or any of these illusions, there is work that you need to do for what is coming next in order for you to support in the way that those whom will need you will need to balance this out. You will need to correct this story. You will need to see it clearly, because you will need to be able to manage yourself as you help others. You need to be able to be aware when enough is enough, when you need to pause, when you need to step away, maybe for a weekend and come back, when you need to do your own work, when you need to shut down your calendar for 24 hours and then continue the work. There's more balance that is needed in your space, in your energetics. Maybe you're not eating because you're helping. You're forgetting to eat because you're so busy helping others, and you're not calculating breaks in your day. Whatever the case may be, you are unbalanced in the giving and the receiving. The giving to others and the giving to yourself needs to balance out more, so that you can sustain the work that you're doing. And for some of you, there's going to be an influx, or you're coming into an assignment that is going to require, in order for you to hold the capacity in which your contracts, your soul contracts, or whatever you're called to do in your purpose is going to be of a higher capacity, and you need to switch up your routine in some sort of way. So take what applies, leave the rest. Is there anything else? And they said, lastly, don't forget to have fun. Don't forget to have fun. If this brings a sort of, anxiety, or it almost feels like an assignment, like, oh man, where do I start? What do I do? This seems maybe it seems overwhelming in and of itself, or it just seems like, oh, it's one more thing to add on my plate. No pun intended, but actually pun intended. Um, um, Spirit saying, don't forget to have fun, right? So you can make this fun. Intuitively eating, right? And, maybe having fruit salads and colorful, I don't know if you decorate your food, or I know for me, cooking food feels therapeutic when I tune in, right? So here's an example, right, that I'll give you. And I enjoy cooking. And when I cook and I'm tuned in and I'm in the enjoyment energy as I'm cooking, which I now in this energetic space, I understand the importance of your energetics when you are handling food. And so I will throw that in there, ensuring that when you use your hands and you are preparing the food for yourself and for others, the state that you are in very much translates and transfuses into your food. So to cook angry would produce a more lower vibrational meal than one who was putting love and care and joy and excitement into the food. And so, maybe you make this a practice, and this is coming for someone to have a rule. I don't tend to, if I am in a state where I am more frustrated, I will allow my kiddos are old enough, right? To, I'll tell them, listen, y'all need to prepare your meals tonight, because I know that I'm not going to put the right energy into the food. And they'll go in there and make their own meals. Right. So this is just an example of, being mindful about the state that you're in when you're preparing. That's one. But to go back to what I was saying, when I'm cooking, in the past, when I've cooked, or I find myself sometimes, at some point you got to eat, right? And so if you must eat, and you're in an unfavorable state, maybe just taking a moment, breathing, getting into balance, and then preparing is a quick thing you could do. But I will say, when I've cooked in an energy where I'm angry, or I'm in a lower vibrational state, emotional state, the food, there's typically more accidents. The food doesn't usually come out the way I want, and it's just not the same as when I'm enjoying making the food. When I'm in my true space of cooking and enjoying it, and like, oh, really, let me see what I can create. I am very much a person that can go in like, oh man, I need to go to the store. All right, I will take 5 random ass ingredients into the kitchen and make a cuisine. Okay. And I quite enjoy those meals more because they don't, it's not like I go in making spaghetti. I'm like, I got some beans, I got cucumber, it can be random ingredients, and see how I can bring it together. Is a challenge, but one that I enjoy. Right. And so oftentimes as I'm looking at the food, I'm looking at the colors. And sometimes when I cook, I'm like, oh, it needs something red in it. Right. And then I'll think about the flavor profile of the food. And I'm like, tomatoes. Nah, tomatoes is not going to pair well with this. Oh, but some red pepper. might go beautifully with this, or just a pinch, or maybe a couple tablespoons of like tomato sauce, but not the actual tomato, because the chunk, right? So the textures, the colors, it's almost like painting with my food is a good analogy that I'll kind of plant as a visual for you. Right? So when I'm in that energy, I am bringing my artistic side into the food, and it typically will taste amazing, and maybe sometimes it doesn't, but it's still fun anyways to see. um, and so I just give that example for you. If you lack enjoyment when cooking, maybe you think of it as art in that way. Maybe that's something you never tried, or um, even tasting. I'll bring in a new food. Like I've never taken a raw artichoke, and so I'll get on YouTube and I'll figure out how to prepare artichoke and see what I can create. And so either way, Spirit's saying have fun during this journey, but take care of your temples, take care of your bodies, um, follow what your body is telling you needs to happen. And all right, that is it for today's message.